because I really like this. It's a really cool preprint. So let me find the button. There we go. So this is a preprint by the lab of Zaid Kalik. I always mangle up his name. Wonderful guy. First author is Paul Kamer. Again, wonderful guy. Met him a few times, I think. Conferences. Fast synaptic-like axo-axonal transmission from striatal cholinergic interneurons onto dopaminergic fibers.
Oh, this is for you to nerd out on.
I love it. It's awesome. So
But
it's
this
a preprint.
axonal
It is an
connections.
axo-axonal. So okay, you see, I knew you would like it too. So it's a very cool paper because it describes um, direct innovation. They did direct recordings from axons. So for anyone who doesn't know, the axon is like the output part of a neuron. It's very thin and it's very difficult to record from because it's incredibly tiny. Dopamine axons are located in the middle of your brain, the midbrain, and they project to an area called striatum, which is the best area in the brain, as Cici will Yoshi will confirm. And they provide dopamine to the whole striatum, and this is very important because these neurons are the first ones to die in Parkinson's disease. So I know if you lose these neurons, you get all of the symptoms of Parkinson's disease.
I mean,
That's how
they are somewhat important,
they,
little bit.
they play an important role. Anyway, so we've known for a while now. I think there was a paper by Stephanie Craig. We've known for a while now that there is some interaction because these axons have receptors, and it doesn't make sense. Normally, you would have, input coming from some cell projects onto, the dendrites or the soma of another neuron, and then it sends it out to put signal through its axons to the neurons that it's connected with.
Right, it spikes in between.
Yeah, it spikes. Well, depending on what model system you're looking at, and C. elegans they don't
Okay.
spike, but yeah.
Okay, so that's like the
Um,
classical idea of a neuron.
yes,
Gets input in the dendrites, the spikes, and then it sends output through the axon.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
so the axons are normally considered, a passive output thing. If there's a spike in the neuron in the center of the neuron, that spike will go through the axon and reach, induce neurotransmitter release, communication. The other neurons nearby will get a signal, etc. That's how neurons communicate. Um, Let me post a full link. Anyway, so what Kramer and friends demonstrate here, and we've already kind of known that this exists because we've known that these dopamine axons have receptors, so they must be sensitive to neurotransmitter, to nicotinic receptors actually. So we know they receive nicotinic input. Which is just crazy because it means, instead of going through the dendrite and then to the soma and then to the axon, these dopamine neurons just receive direct cholinergic input on their axons, and that indeed causes transmitter release and like mini action potentials in the axon. I can put one of the graphs up on screen here. So they showed here with control and DH-beta E. DH-beta E is a nicotinic receptor antagonist, so basically it blocks the signal. And they show that indeed, if you apply this drug, you block those signals. So it's really the nicotine or the acetylcholine acting on nicotine receptors that is mediating all these IPSPs or EPSPs, which is
But
crazy.
wait, didn't I need to do like? How does this block work? Because couldn't there be some signal from the soma still? Like I don't understand how this proves anything to block the nicotinic receptors.
Well, I'm pretty sure this is in slice, so the somas would have been cut off.
Oh, there's no soma. No, but the axon that they're recording from the dopaminergic axons coming from substantia nigra or something.
Indeed, so they're recording directly from the axon.
Oh, and there is no substantia nigra in the slice.
There's no SNR. Um,
Mm.
they do have a reconstruction here.
Like it's kind of a long distance axon, and they're recording only from the axon without the soma
These are
even
very
being
long
present.
projections, so
Yeah.
I've had a bit of trouble there myself because if you want to infect them with a virus, you have to wait a very long time because it's about uh, 2 millimeters, which is a very long distance in a mouse brain. 4 millimeters even, I think. Yeah, it's a
Four,
really
sorry,
long
that's fine.
distance.
Okay.
So anyway, I thought it was very cool. I have not read the whole paper yet. It's on bioRxiv. It's a preprint yet. but not quite published. But I expect that will happen soon.
But wait, what is the use of this connection?
So that is the really cool bit. So it's been hypothesized that the cholinergic neurons kind of control what's happening in the striatum at a very, in a small area. Like they're capable of controlling what is happening um, around them, including how much dopamine is being released. So they can directly cause dopamine to be released near them um, in response to some
Um,
signal. And there have been theories, I don't know if that's been tested yet, that you actually need multiple cholinergic neurons to be synchronized to cause this release.
mhm.
And I actually showed a few years ago that if you have too much dopamine, that will desynchronize your dopamine neurons because the dopamine neurons block the communication from one cholinergic neuron to the other. So there's this weird interplay where, okay, the cholinergic neurons become synchronized, they cause dopamine release, and that dopamine release in turn desynchronizes the cholinergic neurons. It's
It's
a
like a,
wonderful interplay of dopamine and acetylcholine within the striatum.
it's a bit like a thermostat. No,
Yeah, I
a little
self-regulating
bit.
system,
Yes. Oh, okay, interesting. Very
right?
interesting paper.
That's
Yes.
what I thought.